but what a good piece of bowling.
So hi everyone. So welcome to for the Love of the Game cricket podcast. So this is something new we are all trying to do here. So we are all three people. So this is Pranav and I have Prakash also with me. So we are all trying to just talk about the sport we all love. We are passionate about it. So sharing some thoughts and like also hoping for some thoughts from your side as well, the viewers, everybody. So let's have some fun basically over here talking about this beautiful sport. So this is basically it, right? So we can just start off with the first segment which we have planned today. So right now there's an exciting test match going on in the Ashes between Australia and England, and I think it's a nail bite. It's going to be a nail biting finish like the first test as well. So before any further ado, so maybe Pranav, you can start it off. So what are your thoughts like? So let's just focus on this. So what are your thoughts going going on the first test and then second test? So what are your thoughts on this baseball thing going into the Ashes? So is it working? Is it not working? So what's your take on it?
Uh, First of all, hi everyone. It's good to be talking about a game. So talking about Ashes, it's very interesting from an England's perspective that having lost the Ashes back in Australia very brutally, and then Stokes's first Ashes as a captain. So probably that aspect actually hit the Brendan McCullum Stokes pair, and they wanted to do something very fancy for the Test cricket, which is quite understandable. So if we go back to the first Test, you are declaring on the first day at 393, probably believing at your bowlers to pull that off, and then asking. So they eventually pulled it off somehow. They had certain slender lead, but they couldn't capitalize on their lead thanks to Australia's good bowling. So and then from there, thanks to Australia's approach in the second innings, where they could have won the test easily, they got it to Cummins. So I'm a firm believer that Cummins should not have batted there. So there have been bluffs at both sides, but particularly talking from an England's perspective, they missed the trick by not batting an hour extra in the first test. So probably if they have got 450, it could have been a different mental game, especially with Root batting that well. I mean, you have a batter who's set. He can take the attack on as well. He was reverse sweeping balls left and right. So probably that's where England missed the trick. And coming to this test match, I think they picked the right team and the right decision to win the toss and bowl first. Because on the first day, it's a beautiful day to bowl at Lords, no matter what. And they did not capitalize on two best days of batting. So that is where they left a lot behind to cover up. But again, Stokes is a different beast. He thinks very differently from all of us sitting here and all of us watching the game. He believes that he could win that. So they picked the right side. They dropped Moeen Ali for Josh Tongue, which is again a perfect move. It worked. The short ball strategies also worked. So probably what's missing from that England point of view is that their lower middle order is kind of not clicking. So the likes of Johnny Bairstow, likes of Oli Pope, Ben Duckett did well, Root also did well. But that if those missing links click, I think we are in for a very great Ashes from the third test. Let's see how this test goes. But I think we'll go down to the wire. They are 276 for 6. I don't know. They could pull it off.
Yeah. So
What do you think about Bairstow as a keeper? I'm sorry, just one
Yeah.
question.
I think it's kind of a stopgap arrangement. I've been saying this on Twitter as well because I've been seeing Bairstow, fluffing up chances, which is quite natural of him coming off a very long layoff. But if you look at his replacement, that's Ben Foakes. He's an out and out exceptional keeper, and I think
Probably
at the
the best in
moment,
the world.
yeah. So in
Arguably.
England, yeah. So in England, if you take a lot of keepers that are going, say Sam Billings, Ben Foakes, Josh Butler for that matter, Foakes' feet movement is so exceptional, and we saw that in that Test series versus India where he kept for spin. So to actually fit in Bairstow and Brook, they are dropping out folks and a stopgap arrangement of Bairstow, which I think is not working. And England might realize that quite soon that Bairstow the batter is more important than Bairstow the keeper. So they might try and bring in folks for maybe Brook or someone else. Let's see. They have only announced the squad for I think for first two tests. Let's see how it goes.
My only question is as follows. Before Bairstow came back after that freak injury he had at the golf course, his previous 8 innings, he scored 600. Why would you burden him with the gloves?
Fair point. I think it's because of the team balance. It's again the same story that's happening around India as well. So if India goes overseas, you have to choose between Ashwin and Jadeja because you have to weigh batting more. So Jadeja gets the choice. It's more or less the same story with England. So England have to choose a side which suits their style of baseball, of so-called baseball. So Bairstow fits in there, Folks does not. So Folks misses out, which is unfortunate. As I said, he's an exceptional keeper. So you have to weigh that balance between a good keeper, a decent batter versus an attacking batter and a mediocre keeper. So
May
balance.
I give you a follow-up then?
Yeah, sure. Go on.
Which team in the world has an opening batsman who keeps getting a chance with an average of 28? And I'm talking about none other than Mr. Crawley.
Well, I think it's again that style of baseball suits Crawley. I think his attacking instincts versus the new ball. So the way he started Ashes, that extra cover drive off, I think it was Cummins with the new ball. So that I think ignites up Baz and Stokes probably to back them up, which is again interesting because on the opposite side you have somebody like a David Warner who's been having a very lean patch, but they have their rower middle order and middle order covering up for that opening slot. Usman Khawaja was exceptional last test, and their lower middle order is covering. So if you have a weak link, say in any of the side, if you have a weak link, you have people covering up down the order because you had Lyon, you had Cummins, you had Stark or Hazelwood or Bolland who can bat. So in England, you have 11 players who can bat, but there are certain links that are missing. That's what I talked about in the first test as well. So you expected Moeen Ali to cover up for Jack Leach, which did not happen. But I think they missed the trick by not selecting Dom Bess, who has been an exceptional spinner. I think to call back Moeen Ali was again, I don't know what sort of move that told us. Maybe he's dropped from the next 3 tests and maybe Dom Bess is called back or something. We'll have to wait and see.
But Ahmad in the side now. I don't think Bess is coming back, which is also very surprising.
Rehan Ahmed, again, they want to take that punt with the young talent.
They won't play him. They won't play him. They won't play him. I know England's style. This is what they did with Adil Rashid. They kept him in county cricket for say. I don't understand how their selection works. Honestly, I really don't get it.
Probably have to wait and see how England cricket goes. It'll be interesting if they get Rehan Ahmed to the ODI side, considering their World Cup prospects in India, and they won't get easy pitches there, where they'll pull up their Sam Currans or Tom Currans with their cutters. They'll have to get decent spinners. So again, Dom Bess is a prospect who can give you that off-spin option, especially with Sri Lanka having qualified. You will have a game against left-handers, and you can't just rely on Moeen Ali and Adil Rashid to take the ball away from left-handers. You have to have someone.
And he bats too.
Dom Bess bats.
Good bat.
Yeah. Certain calls, ifs and buts. We are in for an exciting Ashes, no matter what.
What about Mark Wood? You're going to keep him on the bench?
I think it's more to do with his fitness issues. He's not 100% is what I heard from Stokes when he came out for toss. But again, if you have somebody like Pace made a difference this test. Josh Tongue pulled out a few wickets of the short ball. So they might have missed that in the first test again. Tongue might have continued from the Ireland test instead of Moeen Ali and maybe rely on Root a bit more for the off spin because Root did decently well the last test. He did decently well with the ball this test as well. So probably that sort of thinking is missing because they want to batting heavy. Yeah, I'm actually following the game. I don't know. I mean, are they trying to imbibe T20 into Test matches? That's a separate discussion. I think
It's
it can go on.
entertaining, but let's get to today's controversies. We've had a lot to discuss about today. What about the best or run out? What's your opinion on that?
I think it's again, it's more on him coming off a layoff, slight injury, keeping for almost what 2.5 days. He hardly got only what 1.5 day rest. So probably that's where England have been missing certain tricks of, they have been persisting with the short ball strategy with Lyon batting at one end with 1.5 legs. You could have gone straight into that base of off stump, where that could have ended the innings far more earlier. So little tactics. I think again KP's comment on Lyon coming up as a batter just to get Todd Murphy as a concussion substitute is again Ashes. You have to have controversies. Without that,
It's
there's
a
no
below the
Ashes.
belt comment, yes.
But again, you might see Todd Murphy. So Australia have covered those bases. And if you don't have somebody like a Nathan Lyon, they have got that base covered. But if you don't have somebody like an Alex Carey, you have Josh Inglis in the side. So all those things they have got that covered. So it basically is about looking at what you have in your bank, looking at what you have, what you make of the surface. So they asked for fast and bouncy pitches. Anderson said, "No, if you are giving me flat tracks, I won't bowl at all." So certain things they are missing. I think England could have done this, could have done that, but whatever it is, they believe they can win it as long as they do. Happy for England, but there can be certain selection calls which can be avoided.
Yeah, this is where I feel that England, their bowling and batting don't actually match with the baseball thing, because normally when you are having a flat tracks, you go baseball full, you explode, that's good. But their bowling is not suited to the baseball style of play, I feel, because they are mostly relied on conditions, bowler and swing and nip and all these things. So that's something they
Yeah.
can look at. Yeah. So anyway, so like, what are your thoughts on? So Prakash, so what are your thoughts on this Nathan Lyon missing out? So from the next test, do you see a like-for-like replacement in Todd Murphy, or do you like change something up?
I see Todd Murphy. I'm okay. Let me put it this way: at Manchester, 100% Murphy plays. There's a case to play two spinners at Manchester. I think it's the fifth test or the fourth test is at Manchester. So I expect him to play there. But and Lyon is out. I don't see him coming back. But the thing is, I rate Murphy better than Lyon. Murphy, I don't know if you remember in the last tour, he actually went at 2 runs and over, picked up over close to 20 wickets. So there's no respite for England as far as the spinner is concerned. To touch on Australia's point of view from the first test onwards, they're coming on the back of winning the WTC. That declaration probably helped them. 10 of them played a game a week before. I think Stokes made a blunder there, but it worked. And this thing about baseball where they're trying to make runs and, so there's enough time in the game. When somebody like Khwaja comes and bats, he negates that completely. He's batted 100 overs so far up till yesterday. And England have batted totally 200 something overs in the whole thing. He's just negated that entire baseball run rate sort of time saving, whatever they thought they would do. Now, we know Steve Smith and Labuschagne, who's not done much, and Head, of course. I think we need to give... Head has been so important to this side ever since he came back to that Ashes played down under. And even the fact that he got COVID gave Usman Khwaja a chance to come back into the team. So I think Travis Head should be the real man of the series of this so far. Special mention to players like Boland, Carey especially, is kept phenomenally. And he's made these 20s, 30s, 40s, even in the WTC final. In the second innings, he made 47 not out. These guys are the unsung heroes. Even Boland on the last day, I think he made 20. This is basically the difference between England and Australia right now, and a lot more pace. A lot more pace. The average speed is about 5 miles to 4 miles. That is different. So I don't see... And another guy who's Cameron Green gives Australia so much flexibility that they are building a team that looks like that Steve Waugh, Mark Taylor, Ponting side. And I think this team, if they remain together, they'll rule this world of cricket. Moving forward, I don't know where this game will end. England needs 79 more to win, and Stokes is playing a blinder. Let's hope for the sake of the series that it's a 1-all and you go to the next test tied. I still fancy Australia. They have more bowlers to rotate. They've got Stark. Boland gets rest. I'm sure he comes back in. I think the next game is at Edgbaston.
I think it's at Edgbaston or Leeds. I'm not sure.
Leeds is Edgbaston. No, Leeds is Headingley, right? Anyways, regardless, it will move over there. And there, I think I see Boland coming back, and I don't know, maybe they'll rotate Hazelwood or Stark. So they'll have fresh legs on the field. I don't see Australia falling from this lead. I think they will destroy England by the end of it.
So to basically
just have a
sorry. Go ahead.
Just have a question on Nathan Lyon. So I think it's a hamstring injury or thigh muscle, or
it's a calf. He's pulled his calf.
So might be grade 2 or 3. It takes time. So how do you see his World Cup prospects? Because he's being an off spinner, just about less than 100 days left.
I don't think he makes the ODI side. I don't think he makes
We are
it.
unfortunate for Australia, but
They've got Zampa, and they've got Ashton Agar, who's been favoured as the white ball bowler. So I don't think Lyon makes the side. He's pretty happy with it also. He's out. His Ashes is done. I don't see him playing another test. You could see that yesterday. He couldn't even stand, basically.
Yep.
So anyway, before we wrap this Ashes segment up, a bit of controversy happened regarding the catching, right? So Stark regarding Stark. So what are your individual thoughts on that? So let's start with Pranav. Is that a fair catch, or what are your interpretations on that?
Well, I think Erasmus was right in judging that catch as not out, because I tweeted this in the morning that there have been people comparing Smith's and Green's catch to this catch, which is if you see MCC's tweet or any of the websites that MCC's clarification has come out, MCC says that unless the player is in motion, he or she has to be in full control of the ball. So in case of Smith or Green's case in the WTC final, their motion was very less. The question was whether the fingers were underneath the ball or not. So here the question is, the ball is grounded. So actually, when Stark is in motion, you apply different rules. That's how I see it. So probably it's not I wouldn't call it as a fair catch, because you can't help it. The ball was flying off Duckett's edge. God alone knows how he played that, because he was trying to guide it to third man, went off the top edge to Stark. So when Stark was moving, you can't anticipate. You have to also keep in line the boundary line. So that also comes in. Your motion is also there. So he grounded the ball and he was sliding on. So probably the motion was not complete. And I think Erasmus was actually spot on with judging that catch is not out. It remains not out, and we eventually have to move on.
Yeah. So what I feel is that it was not a catch, obviously, because he was in motion. But regarding the Cameron Green also, I don't think that was a fair catch if you are judging by the same thing, because there were a very few camera angles, to be fair, when they showed it. So I think that could have been explored more. So anyway, that's a different topic. So Prakash, what are your thoughts on this catch? So any different?
Personally, I think it's out. And you see, you can interpret the rule in your way and my way, but the root cause of that, there is a gray area in the law. There used to be a time 20 years ago where the rule was you had to be in control of the ball for a couple of seconds. If that is the case, then every slip catch is not allowed. People catch it immediately, they throw it up in the air. So I'm happy as long as, the Herschel Gibbs incident, any slip catch for that matter. Somebody pulls a screamer off with one hand and he's thrown it up. Technically, it's not allowed, right? So the problem, as long as the umpire stays neutral to both sides, I have no issue with it. If he gives it not out this time, then he gives it not out for the opposition as well. No problem. But this will keep happening till you don't make a proper law that is black and white. Which the same thing keeps happening on the umpire's call at the LBW. And you know what? Until these laws are not changed, this animosity between fans and teams will just continue to move. It will not stop. That's my take on it.
In terms of umpires call, they increase the width of the stumps by certain centimeters. I think the problem there is that you have to trust the on-field umpires as well. It's because
I agree with that. I agree with that.
Of the I think 2% manual error or something that goes by ICC bylaws. They increase the stumps width and bails height, I think, by certain centimeters to protect that umpire's call on that stumps thing. But it affects the impact. So it has repercussions on if you want to prevent the bounce. It affects the impact because the stumps have now gone a bit wider. So, like Prakash mentioned, that gray area, it's affecting. If you try to fix one hole, it's actually popping out another hole of the impact.
Yeah, but Pranav, to your thing, I'll bring out one incident which us Indians will not forget. Murray Erasmus was the umpire. Ashwin bowls to Dean Elgar in the third test in South Africa. Is the same thing.
Yeah, he gave it out, but I think again the tracking image. I remember Lakshman Shivramakrishnan tweeting once, saying that generally the Hawkeye is shown from the front angle. So
correct.
They projected from the front angle. What Shivramakrishnan suggested it was should projected from the leg umpire's angle. That gives you the proper trajectory because you can gauge the bounce not from the front but from the side. So probably if a delivery is bouncing over the stumps from the side or from the side, it naturally bounces over from the front as well. But if something is actually, so why do we have that in the IPL we had that umpires checking for the no ball, the ball tracker. It was checked from the side. So probably the ball dips a bit more. So the trajectory is different. So
this is for the no ball. This is for the no ball, you mean?
Yeah, no, but for the LBW calls, I just think if the Hawkeye is put from the side angle as well, could be different. I think the trajectories could be different.
You see, we use technology to make things clear, but here what happens is you go into a bigger confusion after such a instance happens.
Strange. I think gray areas continue as the game evolves because that's why they did away with soft signals. Otherwise, imagine if Gaffney could have given that out by referring it to the third umpire. Erasmus would have had to find certain conclusive evidence to actually overturn that. So they're finding areas to resolve, but as I said earlier, if you are trying to plug one hole, the other one automatically pops up.
Fair point. So this was about the Ashes mainly. So let's see how the series pans out in the end. So it's exciting as of now. The first test was very good. Like this is also going down the wire. So yeah, so this is it. So for this segment, so if you enjoyed this kind of content, this kind of discussion, please do support this small adventure and do like and subscribe and share with your friends, with your family members, whoever enjoys cricket, so that we can build on this momentum and carry it ahead and enjoy and have fun with you guys as well. So yeah, thank you for watching. See you out.